Hello twin flames, and welcome to the daily divine masculine message for Wednesday. So in this reading today we're going to use the sacred geometry of relationships oracle. And if there is no communication today, or the masculine is seeming to be struggling to get the words out, this deck and this card that we're going to pull today is going to help you to understand why. And that's what's coming through. Blocks in the words coming out. So it's not necessarily that they don't want to talk to you. I'm not really feeling that. Or a block in communication in, the natural sense of it. I'm feeling it's more they can't quite find the right words, or they're afraid of failing you and getting the wrong words out, or there being a misunderstanding. So I'm really picking up on that. So divine masculine, if you're tuning into this reading, before you speak today, before you communicate to your feminine or to anyone in your life, even your karmic partner, take a deep breath, breathe it in and release it out so that your words come out right. Maybe even call on Archangel Gabriel to help you to speak your truth in a very calm, compassionate, loving, kind way. Instead of kind of blurting things out and it either not making sense or it coming out in, a painful or hurtful or kind of crazy way. So that's the kind of intuitive message coming through. So let's see what we need to know. So this reading is designed for the divine feminine to understand what your masculine is going through, and for divine masculines tapping in, wondering why you may be feeling this way. So if you are struggling to find the words today, or to communicate, or you're not quite sure how to say what you want to say, call on Archangel Gabriel, who will help you to find the words. So what I'm going to do, and I've used this deck today for the members reading and for the daily twin flame reading, it's very beautiful. So for this today, I'm going to tap in with the card, the energy, and then we're going to read from the guidebook. So very powerful. So thank you, angels. So what's going on with the divine masculine today on this powerful, wonderful Wednesday? What's going on with the masculine? What are the masculines learning, growing from, needing to know? What's the energy? Okay, it's gone back in. So I'm going to make sure I get a clear card. No? Okay, what's the energy? So again, take your time. There's no need to rush anything today. Take your time to process before you blurt things out. Here's the message. So today we've got, wow, look at this, surrender. Surrender, such a beautiful message. So surrender it to heaven. And for the masculine here, I really feel this is surrender the struggle. If you're struggling to find the words, if you're struggling to communicate, if you're struggling to understand, give it to heaven. Take a moment, breathe. There's no need to rush anything. If you're feeling pressured today, take a step back and give anything you're worrying about or worrying over, give it to God. It's okay to take your time. And I feel that you're feeling this rush of pressure to make a change, to leave the karmic partner, to get things done, to reach out to your feminine. And the angels are saying, just take a moment today to think, to process, to feel, to experience what you're going through, to savor this moment instead of rushing in and, doing what you may be perceived to be a mistake. Because sometimes when we do things quickly or we do rush in, we can do it in, and not a calculated way. So I feel you want to take a calculated risk, but you need to do it in a calculated way. And they're also giving me nausea. So again, you may be feeling a bit nauseous today. Maybe you're in that energy as well where you're worrying about your feminine moving on. You may be feeling that energy from your feminine, oh, well, enough's enough. You haven't made a decision yet, or you're staying there, or, I need it now, so I need to move on. So I feel masculine, you're a bit worried today that your feminine may be moving on, maybe leaving you. You may be dealing with insecurity over that. And it's time to take a deep breath. Breathe in and release. And this is very interesting because I did a little quick message earlier and it was all about, releasing fears, especially around believing in the power of the love and the connection and the loyalty that you guys share. So from the masculine energy, from their perspective today, they need to take a moment before they take action. And feminines surrender that moment. surrender in any moment, to trust them to find their way. So if you're feeling the need for it now, or wondering when it's all going to happen, or if you're creating pressure, release that pressure. Surrender to what is and trust in what will be. And we've got the numbers 3 and 9. So 3 is about ascended masters watching over the connection, focusing on love. And 9 is the spiritual path. So have faith in your spiritual path. Have faith in this spiritual love, this sacred connection. So the message says, the energy of surrender explores, they give me the word explore, supports us to let go of illusionary control and yield to the flow of love and life. So it allows us to explore these feelings and emotions. So it gives you the opportunity to learn. So in any moment where you feel you need to surrender, when you're feeling triggered or stressed out, or you're going through any anxiety or any fear, it gives you the opportunity to explore how you're feeling and then let go. So surrender supports you to let go of illusionary control. That means things that you're worried about in your physical world. And what the divine masculine teaches the divine feminine is to surrender control. George is still teaching me that now in union, because sometimes I get frustrated if things aren't done to my schedule. And I'm learning to let that go. Even stupid things like, I need the rubbish putting out now. And if he doesn't do it, if I ask him to do it and he doesn't do it straight away, I get a bit agitated. And he's like, Liz, I'm going to do it. But I'll do it when I'm ready to do it and not a moment before. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, well, I should do it then. Or sometimes I even do it. And he's like, why have you done that? Why haven't you trusted me to do it in my own time? And that really sums up the twin flame journey, because we have to trust the masculine to put the rubbish out in their own time. We have to trust them to leave that karmic situation that's toxic to their soul. Trust them to reach out and find their way and make their move. And it can feel very strange to the divine feminine, because we're so used to doing things on our own as a single woman, or a single guy, or as an independent person, or as a leader, or, this kind of powerhouse of energy. You're used to doing things there and then, or to your schedule. So we learn to let go and surrender and trust the twin, trust the masculine to find their way. And the masculine here is given permission to find their way. So it's like the divine masculine is kind of waiting for the feminine to surrender, so that they can then come forward in their own way in time without the pressure. And that's what I'm feeling today. The masculine is feeling very pressured, not even from the feminine, but from their own self, to make these changes. And they need to take a moment to process. It's making them feel a bit giddy, a bit sick, a bit stressed out. So we learn to yield, which means to surrender, to give it to God, to the flow of love and life. So we learn to trust, to yield to the flow of life. It's very beautiful. So that's what you're both learning today: surrender, trust and faith, and to believe in the love. Very beautiful. And if we add up 9 and 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 is about stability. And when we add up a 2 and a 1, it's 3. And that's the number of Jesus. Reminding us that we've come here to love. We've come here to trust in love and have faith and believe in the beauty of everything. So let's read the message, okay, because it would be very powerful. And I don't usually use the guidebooks, but in this respect, this goes in very deep, and that's why I want to bring it in. So the message says, so it's all about letting go and going with the flow, and the affirmation is, I am in flow. I am in flow, and we learn to let go and go with the flow. Now, they're also giving me this intuitively divine feminine. You may be on your flow right now, okay, or preparing for it, or you may be having some changes in it. And that's also a sign to go with the flow. They're also saying go in nature and look at water. Look at the ocean or a stream or a waterfall, how easily it goes with the flow. Or look at the way, the leaves fall off the trees in the autumn, in the fall, and then they grow back in the spring. It's all in flow. Everything has a cycle. It's all beautiful. So to surrender means to give in and stop resisting. So the masculines here are giving in to their emotions and their feelings, and they're stopping resisting that energy. Whereas before they may have buried their head in the sand, not wanted to face it, and also giving me this sickness feeling, and I picked up the other day on the divine masculine and karmic situations feel disgust around the karmic partner or the karmic energy. Makes them feel sick, ill, because it's not serving them. And remember, that's not just always a karmic partner. It could be an addiction. If they're drinking too much alcohol, it may be making them feel physically ill. It may be creating a disease in the body because they're resisting it. So they're no longer resisting it. So the message is to surrender means to give in and stop resisting, to allow themselves to feel what they're feeling, to take a moment to process everything and understand why. Although this can refer to the physical act of submitting to a power outside of ourselves, complete surrender includes our emotional, mental, and spiritual yielding as well. So in other words, we have to learn to trust that there's something bigger than us, watching over us, guiding us, protecting us, and leading the way. And the masculines are learning right now to tap in with that energy. They're learning that there's something bigger going on, and that's why they're realizing that you have so much more than just a love connection. It's a spiritual bond, it's physical, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's everything they've ever wanted and dreamed of. And that's why it can be so hard, because they're like, what is this, Most of us live our everyday life in resistance to something, work that doesn't inspire us. So it could be a job that isn't inspiring us. So your masculine may be going to a job that he doesn't like very much right now. A job that doesn't bring him passion. It may pay the bills and create the security and the stability he needs, but it doesn't light him up inside. It doesn't fulfill him. It doesn't satisfy him. It may be people we don't really like or agree with. So again, he may be around people in his physical world at work he doesn't like or agree with. He may not like to be around his karmic partner, but he's there for the children. He may not agree with something his family members are saying, but he keeps stum, he keeps quiet to keep the peace. It says people we really don't like or agree with, and tasks and chores we don't feel like doing. So he may not feel like getting up in the morning and going to work. He may not feel like, being with that person and, spending that kind of energy with them, being in the house with them or being around them. He may not want to do it. So he's realizing what he doesn't no longer need, what he doesn't want anymore. He's coming to terms with this, and that's also a form of spiritual surrender. It says obligations that tire us. So he may be tired of always putting the kids first. He may be tired of always putting others first and not doing what he wants to do. Political arguments and commentaries that drone on and on. So things in society, things going on in the physical world, politics, government, limitations, financial obligations, whatever he's got going on, he's feel like, it's going on and on and on. It's like he's got a headache with it. He feels a bit sick and nauseated by his physical world. And a physical body that hurts and aches. And when we're not surrendering, when we're not doing what lights us up inside and what we feel good about, we feel that way. We feel drained, we feel tired, we feel exhausted, we get aches in the body, we feel ill. We just don't feel very good inside. And the feminine lights up the divine masculine. So masculine, if you're feeling all of this, it's a sign from God. And it's a sign from the universe and your own self that something needs to shift and change. And you start off by taking a moment to process and thinking, okay, this is how it is. I need to make a change. So it's making that conscious choice to surrender. We have gotten so used to being in this state of opposition that it has become the norm. So the message is, the masculine's got used to what he's been doing. He's got used to that job, he's got used to that relationship, he's got used to that situation, so it feels normal. So stepping away from that is scary. It means coming out of the comfort zone. And that's where he currently is. Resistance causes tension in our whole being. So again, he may have neck pain, shoulder pain. He may feel tense. He may have tension, headaches, pressure, feeling sick, because it's tension. It puts us in a state of stress as we are constantly pushing back against whatever we are trying to escape. So he needs to escape. He needs to break free. He needs to feel at peace. So he feels trapped where he is. And they're giving me tingles all over the body because that's the truth. And when he realizes that truth, he'll tune into that energy. And it'll give him angel bumps because he'll realize what he needs to do. And if you're a masculine watching this, and I feel some of you are, even if you're not commenting, you're getting tingles because this is resonating with you right now. You know that you're being guided to surrender and give it to God. And although this psychological fight or flight mechanism, which you feel physically in the body, is paramount in situations of life and death, as a continuous state of being, it's damaging to our physical, emotional, and mental well-being and to our beloved spirit as well. So in other words, when we feel out of sync with who we truly are, when we feel like stressful energy and anxiety constantly, we feel dis-ease. That means we don't feel at ease, we don't feel at peace, which is what our natural state of well-being is. And what the divine feminine brings into the connection. When you're fighting against that, you feel dis-ease in the body. So you feel ill, you feel dis-ease, disease, you feel sick, you feel nauseated, you feel stressed out. You feel it all. In reference to the human journey on its quest for inner balance and harmony, surrendering means giving in and yielding to whatever we feel is pushing against us. It's about letting go, giving up the illusion of control and trusting that we will be safe. And that's what the angels have been saying. You are safe. Whatever you decide to move away from, whatever you leave behind, whatever new adventures you go on, whatever opportunities you take, you'll be taken care of because you are safe. And Divine Feminine, this is a message for you to trust that it's all protected and you are safe. But I feel this is more a Divine Masculine head-on message, saying to them today, it's going to be okay. You know that your life isn't working right now. You know that your life works better with your Divine Feminine in it. And it's time to break free and make a change. It's time to run free like that wild horse and find yourself again. When we are strongly rooted in our connection with Source, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, when we know who we are, twin flame, spiritual being having a human experience, liquid love, releasing fear, overcoming the ego, and we understand why we are here. So you've got a mission here, something is calling to you. Surrendering to the flow of life can become a way of being. So we learn to let go and go with the flow and trust that everything has a reason and we are safe regardless of what's going on in the physical 3D world. We can then understand that surrendering is not the same as giving up. And that's so true. So many people say to me, I'm giving up, okay? Or I'm letting go, I'm moving on. And you see it all as the same. It isn't. When we surrender, we don't need to give up. We don't need to let go because we just naturally feel at peace with things. And this is also a message for the Divine Feminine. When you feel like that, when you've had enough, it's a sign from heaven to give back to yourself. If you feel depleted, drained, tired, and you're like, I'm going to give up now. I can't do it anymore. I'm tired. I've had enough. It's a sign from heaven to give back to you. And when we give back to ourselves, it's a form of finding peace and surrender. And then the things we were worrying about and stressing over and wanting to give up and change, we just let it go naturally, which means we trust more in the journey. We know we are safe and those things no longer create dis-ease within ourselves and fear and stress and anxiety. It dissipates. So sometimes we don't even remember why we were stressed in the first place. It goes away because we've changed our vibration. So when we change that vibration, what we're attracting in changes too. So we don't need to block our twin or cut contact or cut the cord, because there's no need to do that. We've surrendered. We feel at peace. What will be, will be. We have faith in heaven. So letting go can happen in alignment with our own truth and within our own boundaries. So again, we learn to let go within our own boundaries. And this is the thing with blocking the masculine. Masculine, if you've blocked your feminine now or in the past, you realize when you calm down and you realign and you feel at peace that was something that wasn't needed to be done. Because when we block our twin flame, we really block ourselves. All you really needed was to communicate that you just needed some space. So you communicated it in a very powerful way that helped the divine feminine to actually learn to surrender control. It's very interesting. When surrender happens throughout the whole being, it will include the relaxation of body, mind, heart, and soul. So when you surrender and say, okay, I know I need to make a change. I know I've made mistakes and messed up, but it's all happened for my higher good. It's all happened to grow me, to evolve me, to make me stronger. Okay, when you accept that and take that in and admit that to yourself, all this kind of tension starts to release. And you feel more at ease anyway, because you've started the process of surrender. So you feel better, you start feeling good. When true surrender happens, our heart opens and we allow ourselves to fill into and fall into the flow of letting go. So we start filling up our own cup and we start flowing with life, and things start to get easier. Things start moving into place. We start getting opportunities coming in and inspiration and guidance, and we feel better. And that uplifts our spirit, so we feel a bit more strong. And then we uplift our spirit a bit more and things get easy. We feel better. Wow, we wake up with a spring in our step. So surrender is the power in the flow of life. It says we might find that everything expands and there is a sense of infinite space and freedom and a clarity of our belonging to the larger whole. So when we surrender, we understand and we get clarity on the bigger picture. We understand that everything happens for a reason and we are safe and there's nothing to fear. And this is the energy the masculine is in. And feminine, I know you're relating to some of these things I'm saying right now. So all the shades of green in this picture are a reference to serenity, peace, tranquility. They give me the word transformation and stillness. So during those still moments when the masculines are silent, those moments, and they're giving me, wow, thank you, they're giving me a ringing in the ear, which is a download. Now that happens to me when I'm doing a reading, when they're giving me information from heaven. It's like I'm getting a download from heaven, like a computer downloads information. But during the stillness and the quiet times, in those moments where they can't communicate for whatever reason, that's when they are receiving the downloads of information. Like a computer that's being rebooted or upgraded, that's what's happening with your twin. It invites us to dive in, to let go, to lie back and flow through all the different layers and dimensions that our surrender carries us to. And that's why meditation is really good for surrender. Because when we meditate, we calm our mind, we allow our thoughts to flow, and we just go with it. We become the observer of our thoughts, and we're not really in the ego, we're operating in the now. And meditation isn't always about lying down, sitting down, breathing. It's about doing what we feel comfortable doing what brings us peace. For the divine masculine, that can be a lot different than the divine feminine. For a masculine who's awakened, yes, they may meditate, they may do many things, go in nature. But for the masculines who aren't awakened to their spiritual power, going for a drive can be their form of meditation. Going for a walk, going fishing, sitting outdoors, watching TV, allowing the mind wander to you. So there's many, many different forms of meditation. Going to their sacred place, their safe place, that could be in the bathroom, going to the toilet. It's a masculine thing. They sit on the loo because they get away from everything. So try and think outside the box when you're connecting with surrender, the divine masculine meditation principles and the things they do. Because, for me, when I've operated in the past in masculine energy especially, I've loved nothing more than going and sitting in my favourite coffee shop and drinking a hot chocolate and watching the world go round. And that's allowed me to process my thoughts. It's worked better for me than meditation. So this is understanding that everyone and everything is different. It doesn't just have to be a specific set way. It can be our own way. So most of all, the greens speak to the heart space. And what I'm feeling with this as well, it says surrender carries us to different dimensions and different layers. So this is also about when we connect on the 5D, when we connect in dreams, telepathy, all these things. And the greens speak to the heart space. So the heart space is connected with the heart chakra, connected with the green energy of Archangel Raphael. So a lot of heart healing occurs in the silence, in the stillness, in the quiet moments. So the center of our being, which is the heart, and the most powerful place where we can surrender and open up. So a great way of doing it is imagine that your heart is a big flower and you're taking, like the petals are unfolding, or there's something unfolding and it's creating magic. And the more it opens, the more it unfolds, the more it blossoms, the more your love will grow, the more your heart will expand, and the more you'll feel. The flower of life, there we go. The flower of life refers to the grid on which our 3D world is based. The act of letting go, giving up, control and surrender belongs to the physical. When we are pure energy, there is no control. We just flow. And that's true, when we're operating in our higher vibration, when we're operating on that high flying disc, or when we're seeing things from a higher perspective, we don't stress out because we're in the now and we are the observer. And instead of stressing about it, we say, wow, isn't that interesting that that's happening? What am I learning from this right now? We become the observer. So the center, the center here, but also the center here shows light burning into the bursting, but they give me the word burning, like burning flames, passion, desire, but it bursts into the various planes of reality. So when we tap in with the now, which I'm feeling is the center, the heart space, things burst into reality. Things start to happen and move forward. The bright magenta sphere symbolizes higher consciousness, which both activates surrender and emerges from the surrender. So great things happen when we surrender. And he says surrendering in a relationship takes trust. So you both learn trust. You learn the true meaning of trust, the true meaning of unconditional love, because the masculine learns that he can trust himself to make changes. And he can trust the divine feminine to have patience and faith while he's making those changes. And the divine feminine learns to trust in God, the power of the love, and faith in the connection. To grow genuine closeness, we must risk vulnerability. So we have to open our heart. We have to be open and honest and authentic and be our true self. And that can be scary sometimes. We have to be vulnerable enough to make changes and walk away from the past and our comfort zone and anything that we've held to our heart. True surrender means opening the heart, and it is the heart we most fear getting hurt. We fear our heart being broken. We fear being in pain again if we've been hurt before. We fear these things, but it's better to have loved and lost than to never have lost at all. And we never lose what's meant for us. We never lose a part of us, and that's our twin flame. Many people continue in a loop of seeking deep connection with others, yet are too afraid to get their hearts broken. They never truly surrender and open up, and they never find the intimacy they desire. So in other words, you never really feel what you can feel with your twin if you're with a karmic partner, or you remain with them, or you try and find solace with a soulmate, because you always have that desire and that pull and that longing and that craving for your twin flame. It says when we are firmly rooted in ourselves, which means we're working on surrender, self-love, in our own connection to a higher power, or in any belief that we are part of something larger, we feel we belong and can never really be broken by another. And that's so true. When you find your connection with Source, when you realize how powerful your journey is and how loved you are by heaven, you start worrying less and praying more, and then you feel more at peace. And that's why for me personally, I would always choose my connection with Source over anything else, because, Source, Jesus, God, the angels will be there for me always, no matter what. And that's power when you know that. So we might temporarily hurt, but just as another can never be responsible for our happiness, they can't be responsible for our pain either. And that's so true. Nobody has power over us without our permission. Nobody can hurt us without our permission. Just like nobody can make us happy without our permission. That's why sometimes when you're in the depths of despair and you've been given all the happiness and joy you can be given, it doesn't make you happy, because you have to move out of that energy yourself. You have to choose happiness, choose love, choose to look past the pain, choose to understand that there's a bigger picture. And what the masculine can do as well before surrender is play the victim and feel bad and feel guilty and wrap themselves up in all of that energy and feel like they're not good enough for you, or they're not good enough to be happy. They don't deserve it because of what they've done. Especially if they're dealing with a karmic partner they've lied to, or, they feel shamed by, or they feel all this guilt. So they have to realise with surrender that it's okay. They've done nothing wrong in spiritual truth. In spiritual truth, they are innocent and they deserve forgiveness. And they deserve love just like you do. And they deserve your love and light in the world. So food for thought. It's very hard to surrender when you don't realise you're resisting. And it's true. Sometimes we have to go through something very hard to realise that we are actually resisting what we want the most. Getting out of a state of stress starts by recognising that you are in a state of stress. So the masculines, first of all, are realising that something's not quite right in their 3D world. There's something not quite right that's causing them pain or stress, and it's not you. They can blame you, but it isn't you. And that's why never take anything personally, because you're doing everything right. You've triggered their awakening. It's actually what they're already doing, what they're already trapped in, that's causing all the stress and pain. And when they finally realise that, they can make changes accordingly. Breath work or breathing. Breath is a good indicator of your state of relaxation or tension. How do we feel? Is our breath calm, collected? Are we feeling at ease? Is our heartbeat at ease? Is it restful? Or are we stressed out? Is it going, 10 to the dozen? Do we feel agitated? Are we drinking caffeine to stay awake? It's all these questions we can ask our body. Are you breathing shallowly? Are you holding your breath? And we do that too. When we're in a state of anxiety, we can hold our breath. And it brings in pain and stress and, tension. Try taking a deep breath right now. Close your eyes and inhale and hold the breath for a moment, and then let it out with a sigh. Can you feel how your whole body changes a little while you do this? How your body relaxes? So in other words, whenever we're stressed out or worried, and this goes for both twins, take a deep breath in through the nose. And then exhale with the mouth. And your body, it kind of exhales with it, and you feel that release, especially in the neck, the back, and, any area where you're holding tension. Just rolling your shoulders around feels that. It says, contemplate a significant relationship that you have. So the masculines are going over a significant relationship. Now that's the relationship with you, but also the relationships they are in at work, with their family, their karmic partner, their children, all of these relationships. Can you surrender with your partner? How does it make you feel? Is it hard? Scary? Do you feel that your partner can surrender with you? So they're looking at each avenue. and they're looking at the karmic partner and think, right, okay, when I'm with that person, I feel tense, I feel pressured, I feel anxiety, and it feels, it feels not right. There's something wrong. And then he's thinking about his relationship with you and how easy it is and how beautiful it is and how, all that tension seems to dissipate until the pressure comes in, or the worry about going back to the other person or making changes or going into the unknown, which is scary. It's important to be able to surrender to another, to give to another. How do you make another feel safe? Do you feel that surrendering makes you appear weak or strong? So the masculines are going through this energy where they know that they have to be free of all of that tension and stress and that trapped situation and that relationship to be able to give to you, to allow you to feel safe within your connection. And until they can give you that, they need to work out what that is and how they can make changes to make that right. So that's where your masculine is. He's in the energy of surrender today, waking up to what is, realizing why those things aren't working any longer and why he needs to change them, because he knows he will feel better physically, emotionally, and spiritually too when he is not only with you, but when he's free to be his true self. And feminine, surrender to what is, let go of what was, and get ready for what will be. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.